Well, welcome again. It's Christine, and we are building with Claude Code as we just test out features and see what it looks like to create an app. And the app that we're working on is a subscription management app. And where we left off in the previous episode was continuing just to make sure that we're able to get information back and forth from the front end as it's synced to the back end. And we were able to get through some of the initial hurdles. But at this point, if we look at where things are at, we looked at our browser and it tried to sync and it was kind of caught in the cycle, and then it says status. And so some things still needs to be worked out. And if we look to the cursor, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong that we're seeing in the log. So potentially we can get some help from Claude. So where Claude had left us off is it wanted to go ahead and navigate to check things out. So it's gonna see where it thinks it is. So I'm gonna let it go ahead and say yes and don't ask for this, because I think what it's seen is it's seen a login button. So here is what it's seeing right now, and I'm just going to give it permission, yes, don't ask again, for the click commands. So it's going to log in and it's taking the screenshot after a login. I hope it's going to see the same thing. So the authentication is working correctly, and that's what we did in the previous one. And I can just say that at least here it's not seeing any of the subscriptions, but I'm going to just tell it to test adding a new subscription with Puppeteer. Let's just kind of get it going through the flow and maybe see the same thing that I am seeing from here. So it's going ahead and it's filling out the details, as you can see. Yeah, I am pretty good with you filling out all of these different pieces as well. I kind of like the fact that it's just going to go in and try things out, fill in the credit card, all the other information, and test it out. And this is what you get with, I guess, the model context protocol, where it's extending the functionality. All right, so it's seeing a new subscription, and it's also seeing that one change is pending, getting an idea of what's coming. So it's trying to refresh the page to see if the subscription appears. It's basically doing the testing for me. Do you really need to log in again? I guess it says it needs to log in again. That's kind of like a strange flow. Let's see if it can do that. Okay, so it's checking the help for the back end. I think that's pretty okay. It should be running. But now it's going to try it again. All right, so it actually did log in, and it's going to go through the process of trying to fill in the form again. I'll let it go through and see where it gets to. Let's pause for a little bit. Before we pause, I just realized for the price, it's just filling it as 019.99. Not sure that's valid. Maybe it's a problem, maybe not. But if it's not able to kind of go through this and get it done right, I'll just take screenshots and debug it the good old way. So it looks like we kind of hit a dead end in terms of, I know for sure the back end is working correctly. So we're just going to spend some time with Claude and maybe just give it a screenshot of what we're seeing as we continue to debug this. So I'm going to go to the browser, take a screenshot, and then bring it into Claude. So I'm just letting it know that we want to try something different. And here's the front end running, and this is what I see. And I've taken a screenshot, which I am going to include in here. and something seems to be related to the invalid date. And so we're going to probably just zero in on that and see if that's probably the issue, or potentially it's something else. So, okay, sees that front end is running successfully. There are 7 inactive subscription. 0, the authentication is working correctly. The date format is likely due to how dates are stored or passed. This is a minor display. It can be fixed by ensuring dates are properly formatted. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's look at the date formatting. All right, so I'll let it zero in a while. When it comes to a nice conclusion that I can share, we're gonna come back to it. It says it understands the issue, which could be something that I suspected, and it's a combination of the back end using snake case for the field names, but the front end is using camel case. So there's a mismatch when it receives the data. So this seems likely error. And if you're to look at also the browser, I was just looking at the console log errors, and there's a bunch of errors that are showing up, a bunch of warnings with the sync provider. So could be some things that are going on right there, but let's take a look and see if this is actually going to resolve this. Maybe probably a better way to map this, but another good thing that I haven't been doing so far, which is not good practice, but it's always good to refactor your code from time to time so that if anything okay. So as we found out, there is still something going on here. So I'm just going to say Claude no and say, give it this. Say, please check, because there's something that I am not sure is working quite right. It should be able to go ahead and figure that out as well. And I'll let it cycle on that. And it's probably because some things are optional or undefined. Gotcha. Yeah, I know some things like billing cycle or some of these things may not exist or might be different. Okay, so as we can see, we've got good things happening. We have information showing up, so it looks like we're heading in the right direction and the data is coming through. I'm sure there's some things that we can figure out, but it looks like we are getting some good information out of it. Running the type checker again, but I think we are doing pretty well here. All right, so after it did everything and ran the type checker again, if we go to our browser, we no longer have any errors or warnings. and we've got our data showing up, so this is looking pretty good. We can try adding a new subscription. So I just added something for Kling, click on add subscription, and it should be hopefully saved locally. Did I click? Yes, it says a change is pending, and then when it's synced up to the server, it should actually be saved locally first. So I might ask it to make some optimistic updates locally, but it should show up on the list here momentarily. If not, we've got something to look at. All right, so I notice it said synced, but I don't see it actually showing up in my subscription. Kind of curious to see if it is actually in local storage. So when I go to inspector, I can go to application and then go to storage, and I can look at what is actually out here. And I see it here locally, so Kling is definitely there. It's just not showing up in here. So that might be something that I share with Claude, but we've spent quite a bit of time on this particular section, and I'm pretty sure that it's probably just a minor issue. If not, I'm just going to spend the time offline to see how we can go through and review this, and I'll let you know what the fix is in the next episode. So just to quickly wrap up, we were able to figure out some of the sync issues that we were having, and now we've got our UI showing, we've got it saving locally. We just need to make sure that it's showing up in the database. Actually, before I do that, I'll quickly just show you how you could potentially check to see that the data is in the database or not. So inside of Claude, let's just go ahead and add another terminal. So I have the database running locally, and I can definitely go in and run this command. Terso CLI is installed locally on my computer, and I can have a shell that goes into it. Is it running? Maybe it needs to run, says connection refused. But that's one way that we could connect to it. Let me see. Well, I went ahead and did the necessary and just asked Claude what the question was, and it tells me that this is what I can do to kind of run this locally. So I'm going to go ahead and run the command on cursor. So cut and paste. Let's see that it can run it here. Oh, I know why, because I probably need to have it on a, well, again, when you cut and paste from Claude, it has these extra spaces that you need to be aware of. So yeah, I'm able to kind of log into that, and maybe I'll just run a SQL command as well and look at the tables and see if my data is in there. So I probably just want to get Claude. I'm sure there might be an MCP to run that for me, but let's see, it's gonna say run that command, and that's another way to do that as well. So from here, it's running that SQL query. I can see Netflix, Spotify, AWS, Adobe, Notion. I see Kling. So Kling is in the database as well, but it doesn't look like it's showing up in UI, which is kind of strange. Maybe I just need to refresh the page, but something to definitely be looking into. I guess I had to refresh it to show up, which is probably not a good experience, but something we can figure out. So at least it's syncing. It's just not automatically showing up on the table. So I'm going to ask that question, and when I find out, I will let you know. All right, so we've got Claude Code kind of got busy, and it added in some code changes to basically make some optimistic updates, to add things to the store first, and also made some changes to the subscription form to help support that with just letting you know whether it's submitting or not. So let's go ahead and test this out and see if that worked. So we're going to add a new subscription, and maybe we'll do one for another one. So we'll fill in some information for Runway ML, and go ahead and click on add subscription. It says a change is pending. Did not see it show up in here as I expected to. So didn't quite do it. But this video has been quite long, so I will pause for a little bit, and as I was doing before I got sidetracked, we're gonna go ahead and move this, if we do find a solution, into a next episode. But for the most part, able to get much of this kind of going and the sync, and we picked a pretty tricky one to work with, especially when it comes to conflict resolution between the two spaces. So looking forward to our next episode. We will continue building with Claude Code.